Welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller along with Otto Los, Kristina Liu, and Dan Cox. Another great show, Kristina. I want to thank you for bringing Greg back. There's so much available on Long Island, and so many of these people that you bring on and their agencies, are an option. Everything, it doesn't fit everybody, but there is so much out there. There's so many resources and that kind of a thing.
No, and you know what, Otto?
This is really weird. Wait, excuse me. Oh. I'm getting a fax. What the heck is that? I am so sorry. Oh, wait. It's coming off the machine now. Oh, look at it. It's for Kristina. It's a happy birthday fax from the Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys.
It's personalized. I don't, our listeners, says, happy birthday, Kristina, love your boys.
Wow, it's so nice of them.
I know, right? Isn't that weird?
Is that the first fax you got this year?
No, they're coming in like crazy. It's weird. It's so weird. So, Kristina, I don't know, your birthday is coming up on Monday, and we've all kind of had a little bit of a roller coaster of a year, so we're just kind of doing it mellow, but I think that there's some humor and fun. So absolutely. You are just one of the most driven fans. So when Kristina likes something, it's not, you never hear her say, oh yeah, I like that band. It's always like, it becomes her world, and it's everywhere. And they come in and they come to concerts and her whole schedule changes and friends come with her and everybody has to be dressed a certain way. But so the Backstreet Boys, just tell us a little bit about what they mean to you. When did you start listening and kind of your memories of them then and now? I just give us a little Kristina, Kristina love.
Listen, Kristina, and I'll have to send Dan a photo because even prior to the Backstreet Boys, it started off, and there's a hilarious photo of me at the age of 4 or 5. And I have a giant New Kids on the Block poster on my wall. And so I came out loving a boy band, and I blame my mom that, she encouraged it. That was my birthday themes. It was all very tied in. So it started, and I was on the young side for New Kids on the Block, but, that didn't stop Kristina. And then it jumped off to, when I was growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, when, the pop phenomenon was really coming in. And it was the Backstreet Boys, and I was fully immersed, and it was just fun. Listen, that was my first concert ever, was the Backstreet Boys. And I came with, I went there, you guys will laugh because you know me. Of course, I spent a lot of time with my outfit choice, and I was 13, I believe. And I had a full scrapbook, giant binder. And I brought it with me to this concert because I truly believed I was going to run into them and I was going to show them, my binder of all the things I've collected.
Oh, that's so cute.
Now, I'm trying to bring as little as possible when I go out. And this, I had it was a thick binder.
Now, of course, you can't. You have to bring a little, but you can't even bring a pocketbook.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how I rolled around with this binder. But I went and, and then it went, of course, to NSYNC with Justin Timberlake. And then look, and I'm 37, gonna be 38. And I dove into One Direction. So clearly, my friends and family laugh because not too much changes with me. I'm a pretty consistent person. Oh, someone's come. Oh, what is this? Another fax?
We got another fax.
Wow.
Oh my God, this is unbelievable. I mean, my fax machine is just
38. Which one is it?
I'm not 38 till Monday.
So, actually, this is happy birthday wishes. Love all of us from the Sons of Anarchy, especially Jax.
Wow, the Sons of Anarchy.
So you're getting all these really nice birthday wishes.
That's
so
nice of the biker crew to take their time out.
Well, right, such kind of out of left field. So Jax wanted to make sure that they all sent your birthday wishes.
Oh, that's so kind. That's
really so are we still watching the show? When did you start getting into it?
Well, listen, TV, I always laugh because that's really been a part of my world and TV shows. And once again, it all comes back to my mom. I mean, my namesake is Kristina because I was named after Kristina Carrington, which was a character on Dynasty. So it's really in my blood to like, be, and my mom was that way too. Like we spent so many times when I was growing up, and when she was pregnant with my brother, there were these shows that we would watch together. So the passion for television is very strong in my family. And Sons of Anarchy was a very big event. That was one of our shows. We've had like iconic shows throughout our journey, my family, and different people and my friends, would come over and we would have these big events. I mean, I do have a cardboard cutout in my garage. Beck will remember that Charlie Hunnam, who played Jax Teller on Sons of Anarchy, was actually at my wedding shower. There was a cardboard cutout of him there. So, but yes, there's a lot of these things make up Kristina.
I'm impressed that all these people know Rebecca's fax number.
Yes, she's very connected. Don't forget it.
Oh wait, there's another one. I'm so sorry. Let's see. It's just not. It's not working like it's supposed to. But there is another one coming off the. Oh, happy birthday, Kristina! Beck loves me, and I'm sure you do too. Love, Jason Momoa.
Wow, Jason Momoa, Aquaman himself.
It's the Aquaman, and
wow.
What was his name? He was Khal Drago, right?
That's right. I like it, but I have to say that is my aunt's celebrity crush. So I won't step on my Aunt Susan's toes. That's her. I photoshopped her in with him for her 70th birthday, actually.
Well, actually, he's mine too, so I had to throw him in there. Just, you have to
fight with Aunt Susan on that one.
Okay, well, Aunt Susan, but there's definitely some other celebs that I think might be calling in. So, I'm sorry if there's an interruption.
That's okay.
Oh, it's another one.
Rebecca, remember what radio? You might have to describe what the...
Yeah. Oh, this is a fax machine it's an old one, but happy birthday, Kristina. Thanks for watching Yellowstone. You're the best. Look at this.
Oh, Casey.
You're Casey. Luke, aka Casey.
Wow.
So I think, Kristina, you actually got me into Yellowstone. I remember the day you came in, you're like, Beck, have you watched Yellowstone? You got to watch Yellowstone. And then I had to
that's really our current family thing. And it was even the theme of my birthday party last year was Yellowstone.
It was.
I watched Yellowstone.
See, that's right. Otto watches Yellowstone too. Love it. Absolutely.
That is amazing. So, I don't know if there's going to be more. I think there is, but I definitely don't want to interrupt, talk of the town. So we can get a little bit into talk of the town, and if a fax comes in, I'll just have to interrupt you. That's okay.
We're here. We're rocking and rolling. I'm really glad that all my friends, came out to support me. On my birthday.
Well, your celebrity friends.
And speaking of friends, which it actually tied in because this is what I was going to, our previous topic that we had with Greg Balbari, there was all these different things about improving your quality of life. And what I loved, there was an article on his website. And Otto, you're so right. The Right at Home Long Island website is such a resource. I'm constantly typing in the search bar a topic, and there's always a really wonderful article or information about it. So I encourage people to definitely do that if you're looking for some great information. But what I loved is, there was a thing about, how to make friends, because you think about it, when you're a kid, it's so easy to, be around and make friends because you're at, it's just at that age, and you take it for granted, and then you think about an older person who is alone, who isn't, necessarily going out to different things or are able to, make those connections. And I think over the years, we've certainly seen the importance of having some kind of social connectivity. I mean, we all certainly saw that during COVID, during these lockdowns, and the impact that it was really having on people who were, disconnected from. But there were some great little tips, because everyone knows I do love a tip just as much as I love a boy band on TV. I do love a bulleted tip, I must say.
You and Otto love those.
Making friends when you get older, and we've talked about this before, definitely is more difficult because your good friends many times are no longer here.
Of course.
Your lifelong friends, who are really your best friends, are the ones you've had over a period of time, who know you and understand you, and you accept each other as you are, that kind of thing. And that, as you get older, people die. That's a fact. Or they move. They are forced to move because of health reasons. And So now what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, if
Well, you
you're,
know what it is, and I think about this often because there was this woman, this older woman, when I was a little girl, and it always stuck in my head. And she worked with my mom, and she always had like these great, little tips and stuff. And I was always upset about some kind of like, friend drama or something, growing up. And she would always say, like, you have to just put your different friends in boxes, and then you like won't necessarily be so disappointed. So I think like as you're older, yes, those lifelong friend and connections might not be there, but it also doesn't mean that you can't have a new friend and start new kind of memories or have new interests, because listen, your interests might have changed as you got older too, so it's having these different friends in boxes. And that always stuck with me because as I get older, of course everyone's lives change, well, my friends, everyone's in different kind of situations or whatever it might be, and I really always go back to that, like, friend box thing, and then this way, everyone has like their different place in their role in your scheme of things, and Beck, what you said, because my husband says it all the time, as you get older, you certainly could count, on two hands like your close friends, and I think it's just something, that's always there. But I like data that you can still get out there and meet people, and I see it happening at Project Independence programs and events,
Oh yeah.
at our advisory committees, Beck. I mean, we've seen like when people just kind of reconnect because of an interest, and we talk about that all the time here. So I think it's important to kind of stay open-minded and meeting
you
people.
know, you bring up a good point because I don't remember a lot of things about school. That wasn't my favorite area. But one of the things I do remember is a sociology class
Mhm.
where they had circles, and the center of the circle was like the core.
Mhm.
And the core is the core. But as you get older, the core shrinks. So
Mhm.
you have to kind of go to the next layer of the circle.
Mhm.
And then there's
Sounds like
another
circle of
layer.
support.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it is
It is a
really.
forum,
And
right?
yes, there's no question.
Yeah.
Reality, all right. And
Mhm.
that's, I think, one of the things you have to accept to be positive is reality.
Mhm.
Uh, reality is, yes, the core does shrink. All
Mhm.
right. So now what? Okay. So we look to the next circle. And yes, it'll never replace the core,
Mhm.
but it's a circle, and
Right.
it's a good part of it's better to have that than nothing.
No, and
You
I
know,
think that's your point. Like, you have to, be open to that, because it is easy to get stuck in that place where it's like, oh, all my close friends aren't here, whatever it is, to just become the focus, and you're really limiting yourself from making these, connections. And not everything has to be a deep, lifelong, bonded friendship. There are people that you can just have a good time with. That there might, there's people who in our Project Independence, they all come to one of the social groups or something, and for that hour of time, you're connected to someone, and it might, branch out after that, or it might just be, for that hour every Friday, and that's great too, so I think it's just taking these little things and, really enjoying it. But these tips that were on here, I just loved, because it was just some like little quick ideas about ways to, make new friends. And it was take a walk through your neighborhood and make a point of speaking to people you meet, exercise with a friend by walking, swimming, or going to the gym together, visit or going to a Project Independence exercise class. You can go to a different senior center, and they were saying there's a whole variety of activities and yoga and book clubs and art classes and different educational seminars. I mean, those are all things Project Independence really offers, that you could go and meet people. Participate in a neighborhood or community group, go to a museum or a gallery, volunteer, just take a different class. There's different universities on Long Island that offer classes. If you attend religious services, it's just, there's a whole bunch of little things. And I think it's important to do those things, and to get out there, because you don't realize how it impacts you, like we've all, you both addressed it. We all know the person who is home alone and is not having, that communication, and it really impacts you. It impacts you physically, mentally, to not have those social interactions. I always thought about that with my grandpa. I've mentioned this before. If we weren't there, like there were some days, that you get, and it's just horrible, because he could go, a day without talking to someone, and that you don't realize the impacts that those things really have, unless you have people around you. So it's
like following through on that a little bit. When you're growing up and you're a kid, there are you get categorized a little bit as a kid, even then when you become a middle adult and whatever, that some people are more friendly than others, and that's a fact, all right? And some people are happy being loners, if you will, call them that, all right? But even somebody who is more socially alone, if you will, they had exposure to other people, whether they realize it or not. And I think as you get older, people who tended to be more alone kind of people, it's even more difficult, believe it or not.
No, you're right.
Because now you're really alone, and that's not, you're in
And
the
there are
house all
people,
day alone.
I feel like there are people, like you're saying, Otto, there are people who, they like to watch TV, they do the crossword puzzle, they have a phone, they're not really social or comfortable socially. And as they get older, I almost feel like it becomes more of a convenience for some people as they get older as an excuse. I mean, obviously, if a loved one is isolating and things like that's not good, but there are people. I'm super social. Like I have friends. I have all my friends from high school. I have all my friends from college. I have my friends from work. I have all my friends. I've just always have something going on. I'm a very, very social person. But, as you get older, people, become grandparents and it's less and less that you see them and can interact. And even though I am a very social person, it's hard to, I compare people to my friends. Like I feel like, oh, I can't be friends with that, but they would never understand me or get me or that kind of thing. So there's that too. Okay, well, it looks like we have to take, our friend Dan just waved us that it's time to take a break. You're listening to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast, and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios Podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I am Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Los and Dan Cox, and of course, Kristina Liu, who we're celebrating part 1 of her birthday, just kind of on the lighter side. And, we're getting faxes in from a lot of the celebrities that, she's their fan and apparently they're her fan too. But this is Talk of the Town, so hopefully we don't get, wait, no, I do think we are getting a fax in. I don't know who this could be. So what's happening is we're getting faxes in. Very obnoxious. Oh, wait. Happy birthday, Kristina. Love, Harry.
Oh, I was waiting for Harry to come in. I was like, where is Harry? There he is. There's the number one.
There he is. What? Wait, someone who...
I got to interrupt here because I got an email from someone earlier today that I wanted to show you also. It was for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he wanted to personalize this and make sure it got on the TV nice and clear. So,
Oh,
good.
You guys don't really know how much joy this really brings me. You just show me some Harry and the day is just better, I like these photo choices that Harry sent in as well.
Yeah. He wanted one with that Miami Vice look and then the clean cut.
Let me just tell you guys, I don't know if any of you watched the Grammys this go round, but Harry won multiple awards. But my favorite part of the whole thing is that each person who was up for was like best artist or album or something had a different fan, and it was all these different artists. But Harry's fan was a senior who I believe she was in like her early 80s, and she just loved Harry Styles. And this just made me love the situation even more because she would go to his concerts, and she was so giddy around him. And I was like, this is like my worlds colliding, and I couldn't be happier. So it's just he's my favorite, you know? He really is. He's up
Aw.
there in this point in time.
Oh wait, there's one more.
No, another
This is
one.
the last one because it's just getting, it's taking over the show.
It's-
Yeah, your
Oh,
fax
oh.
machine probably gonna break.
Happy birthday, Kristina. Remember, babe, I was your love before Harry.
Justin Timberlake. I knew it.
So,
And that's right. I will always love my JT. Let's not forget it.
all right. So tell us about JT. When did it evolve for Justin Timberlake?
Well, I can remember very clearly because if anyone is listening out there in my age bracket, you know, you will really, you know, the height of, as I had mentioned, the boy band craze of life. And as I mentioned, I was, you know, Miss Backstreet Boys. But there was always a quite great divide and debate. It was who was Team NSYNC, who was Team Backstreet Boys. And
Right,
Kristina was Team both because I felt there was no need to choose. You could really like both. But a lot of my friends would get mad that I wouldn't choose a side, but I couldn't. But I'll never forget very well, and it's like funny the certain things that stick out in your head. My mom was in the living room, I was in the bedroom, I was getting ready to go somewhere. I was probably about, I don't know, maybe I was about like 14, 15-ish.
You actually remember the moment, don't you?
I remember the moment. It's fun, it's hilarious because I live, it's my mom that discovered Justin Timberlake. And you know, so I was going out and there's on the TV there was an NSYNC music video, and Justin Timberlake, you know, was just like a little babe at the time. And my mom was like, "Oh my God, Kristina, you got to see this boy. He's just the cutest." And she was ranting and raving about Justin Timberlake, and I felt like a little torn because I was like, "Oh my God, you know." But then I just was. That was it. It was a wrap. It was that moment in time, and I remember coming home, and me and my mom just watched like all kinds of specials and different videos, and it was just Justin.
That was
So
it.
Still going strong, and really
Now,
just the best.
Justin is one that I even know about, and I'll tell you the reason why.
You
Because
remember when you fell in love with Justin Timberlake too?
he's a golfer.
That's
And
right,
There was a
Otto.
big article in the golf magazine about him and starting a golf course.
Yes,
So I even know Justin
that's
Timberlake.
right. That is right. And my dad, I always laugh too because my dad has the most obscure taste in things, and he knows the most random people. But my dad loves Justin Timberlake too. He like loves all of Justin Timberlake's movies, and it's always just endlessly music because he's very impactful in my family, JT. So it's like I told you, it's all, and these are people I have like just loved for years upon years. So that just shows how loyal I am as a person, guys.
And
really-
that's why you're getting these faxes from them.
I'm so dedicated. I refuse to, you know, I mean, I looked at it. That's what 20 over 20 years ago. And it's still going strong. So as I mentioned, I just get older, but I pretty much stay exactly the same.
Well,
I
you
had
know-
David Cassidy. You had Justin.
Oh, I
Timberlake.
love it. David Cassidy is so cute. But all these, you know, they all, it's funny because all these love and passions of mine always tied into my birthday. You know, it was like, so whatever I was in, which still, you know, works till this day. Because I'll never forget, you know, I was a big, speaking of TV, 90210, Beverly Hills 90210 was my world. Definitely was too young in retrospect,
All right.
watching it at the time, you know, but I was always, I guess, a bit of an old soul. But I remember I was like, I was 6, and that was the theme of my birthday. So listen, it's just these little,
6. You had a 90210 theme.
Yes.
Did any of the other kids understand it, or
No. I mean, like maybe some of my like older cousins, but like not really. And I didn't really care, frankly. I was
Right.
like, this is because I shared a birthday with Jenny Garth, who was Kelly Taylor in 90210, and I was thrilled. I couldn't have been happier that we had the same birthday. And to this day, I am still obsessed with 90210. You know, if I'm sick or I'm like home, that's just my go-to. Like it's my comfort place. I'll like put it on the TV and just, you know, do that. So once again, I just get older, but the interests stay the same.
You were born
and
in
no disrespect to Jay.
1986?
That's right.
1986?
85.
85.
85. I'm April 85, baby.
Right.
But yes, and my husband, bless his little heart, because Jay not only supports it, you know, he encourages it, frankly. You know, he'll buy me things and he just finds it quite amusing. You know, the obsession of all these things. But I
It's
got
good
my
you
real.
enjoy it. You should.
It is. You got to do these things. You know, like it's.
Yeah.
people always laugh because anyone that follows me on social media knows I will make like an occasion out of anything.
Right.
So it could be like, oh my God, it's a finale of a show. But that, me growing up, that was just such a part of me and my mom's like relationship, like we would, and I laugh because you could picture tiny Kristina. Everyone also knows I love like a party favor. And we would spend time picking out the goodie bags for my parties. Like it was a serious thing. And we would pick, because there was times that my mom would give, a little doll, to each person. And we would sit there and say, okay, this one would be good for, blah, blah, blah. This one would be good for blah, blah. And it was such like an iconic, and we laughed because when my brother came around 9 years later, he like literally could care less. It shows you the difference about boys and girls, but it's something that's because here I am, as I said, be 38 years old. And if I have a party, I have to have like party favors because God forbid anyone walks away from anything I'm doing without some kind of, present. So, but these are the things that literally haven't changed since I was, planning.
You're like a frequent flyer for Party City.
It is. It's true. It is true. It is true. But and this year I will be having a couple of my friends over in our backyard, and we're renting. There's a company called Hibachi TU that does like hibachi in your backyard.
You've got to really change it up, but you always do. You always find like you had the igloo. You had,
I try to. I set the bar real high for my friends. I can't let them be disappointed. But I just wanted something kind of chill this go around. But of course, it gets spiraled.
Of course.
I was like, it's just gonna be a calm dinner with a few of my friends in the backyard. It'll be nice.
Do you ever worry like? How am I going to beat this one? I mean,
yeah, 100%. But there's always something that and it randomly like comes to me. I'll be sitting there, and the theme will just spiritually come to me. And
this hibachi thing, they come to your backyard or your house?
So it's if you've gone to a hibachi restaurant and they do the whole thing, they do the tricks, they throw things that
they throw the fire around.
The whole thing. So they do that in your backyard. Yeah. And all you need to do is supply the tables and chairs. They bring, everything else. And it's really nice. So I'm excited. I've watched a lot of videos on it. And I was laughing because my tent company, I got a tent because I'm always paranoid about weather. And the guy, he just like, we're like apparently best friends. He tells me like his life story all the time, and I love it. But he was saying to me, I was telling him my husband put in this Japanese Zen garden, and he thought it was just because of the party. He's like, wow, like you guys really commit to a theme. He's like, if you have like
so
Mexican night, do you have like an avocado garden? I was like, so it's very I said we were laughing.
Dan just sent the information.
What'd you say?
Oh,
Dan
he did he?
The information.
He texted us the information on your, I guess, your hibachi place.
Yeah,
maybe.
it's really fun. So.
I'd like to expand on this a little bit because this
sure.
is something I'm liable to do one of these days.
Yeah.
You have a table, and like how many people can you put into this thing?
Well, you can do as many as you want. So, so my tent person, I'm renting tables and chairs because I just don't want to like deal with the hassle. But it's going to be like a U shape, so when you're at like a hibachi place, it's that same thing. The chef is in the middle with his grill, and then, you're all facing him around. So, but they do as many people. I think they think the minimum is like 10 people that they'll do it for, but onwards, as long as you have the space to fit all the people, I guess it works. But
we went to a hibachi place with one of my grandsons, Eric's son, the younger one, when he was probably 2 or whatever, 3 maybe, and he got petrified when the fire started.
Yeah.
So we had to bring him away. We couldn't sit at the dinner. Somebody had to take turns keeping him away from the table. But now he loves to go there.
Well, there you go. See now, but I just, and this is something that like since COVID, a lot of my parties I just did outside, but now I just love it. Listen, I have like a pretty backyard, and it's better than having people like mess up your house and stuff. And I saw this hibachi to you thing, and I was like, what a fun little idea to have in your backyard, to have this little situation. And you get to like pick 2 different proteins. It's a oh,
that's great.
Yeah.
I could combine that with my jet game in the garage.
There you
go. You could just make a whole theme of it. So, but these are just, the little things, I always say you got to find these things. I laugh because my mom and I and my husband, it's like we need to, when we're stressed or worried about something, our brain flips to, all right, like stay busy, plan something. And I feel like if I'm not planning some kind of fun party, either for myself or for someone, or even like the time I'll spend like thinking about like a gift for someone is like, I always laugh because like, as I said, this is my stress relief. Like to me,
Right.
it's like these things that just keep me occupied and planning. And it's my like favorite thing to do.
You know, Christina, people go through life and don't really live the fullest to the things they enjoy.
Yeah.
And, so many people go to like, I like this, I like that, I have a great time doing this, but for whatever reason, they don't. And, and you're not bringing yourself joy, but it's really good. I think we need to do a show, and you should kind of, head it up on, joy, like bringing yourself, living, doing the things like kind of what Greg was talking about with the quality of life. And here you have the things that you absolutely love to do. They're so much fun. You're so creative, so you get to use that, and it relieves stress for you. So I mean, you're living, your quality of life, and I think it's beautiful. I mean, to be,
well, it's just it is, and it's always been. And I think back to that's just always been the case. And as I think I was certainly born that way, but I also believe because my mom was that way, and like we spent so much time doing things together that it was just like it became in me.
Celebrating.
Yeah,
right.
It's just, and I mean, the amount of thought my mom and I put into Easter baskets for people is like
I can't imagine.
I just thought about something that I have a similar problem that you have, right? I maybe not organizing the same things or the same way, but I'm always the one that organizes the golf outing or this or whatever. And somebody says to me, well, why don't you give it up? I said, because I want to do it. I want to.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Otto. Because I said to my husband and I are always the ones that, buy the tickets for something or, get whatever it might be. So people are always in a state of owing us money, right? So we're always in this, like, and I was laughing with my husband because he was like, oh, you know what? He's like, I'm sick of this. I'm not going to be. And he's like, but you know what? He's like, I want to do it. So like, I'm going to, I said, we'll always be these people because we want to do these things. And that just comes along.
But you know what has helped tremendously? I'm the same thing. I'm running a pool with 40 people, buying tickets to go to Saratoga racetrack, going to a Met game, whatever. PayPal, Venmo, and Zella
absolutely
have been a blessing.
Yep.
Because I used to have to get money from people with checks, with cash, and it was like, oh man.
It's like, send it to me now.
Yeah, but now it's exactly right. I said, you're in the pool, you pay now, or you're not in the pool. You want these tickets, you pay now, or I'm not getting the tickets. Right. And I'm not going to chase you.
Because that's the worst part. Because I'm also the worst person in the world to like be like, oh, you kind of owe me money. Like I'm always like uncomfortable in that situation.
Not really. I used to be uncomfortable.
That's
but
good.
Then,
now you could just sell them. Say, I'm requesting this money that you owe me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I make it pretty clear. Everybody who knows who deals with me that they're gonna have to pay. There's no dragging this out.
I'm gonna send Otto after my friends.
Yeah.
But well, no, it is. And I think. And I say this all the time. Listen, everyone's got their own kind of thing that, they like to do or, whatever it might be. I mean, to me, that is, because my friends left because everyone's always like, you're going to run yourself ragged. And I was like, what you guys are missing is like, I need to do all these things because it helps me. It's therapy for me. I mean, the amount of organizing and purging and getting rid of stuff that my husband and I have been doing like over the past week is crazy. And we're like all over the place with like different, projects that we're doing like simultaneously. But both of us, it works because that's how we operate, is like, all right, we're feeling stressed. Like, let's do something productive. And that's the best feeling. And I encourage people that if you are in some kind of thing like that, to take on a little task. It doesn't have to be something so grandiose or anything. It just to get it done just makes you feel good after, So whether it is getting rid of clothing or cleaning out that junk drawer, that just keeps accumulating junk, just something so little, and I'd always laugh because I think back to during the pandemic, Beck and I would laugh together because we would just keep rearranging our mugs, like our coffee mugs in the kitchen, because it gets like overwhelming. Like, you have all these, and it's just like, you just start feeling, bogged down by it. But I do think, and like, even for a senior, like, I mean, like, listen, obviously you're not going to be, cleaning out your whole garage, because it's hard because you're older, and I totally get that. But there are these just little things, what I did last weekend, my husband and we had all these, I have my photo albums that I did in my spare room, but then in the garage we had a shelf with all these photo albums that were essentially like my mom and my dad's old photo albums, and then when I was like a baby, so there was a lot there too. So we bought, which I'm obsessed with, are stackable bins. So I encourage people to buy stackable bins to organize, and I put all my stuff in there.
Clear ones too, so you know what's in them, right?
Yes.
So we will be right back. We have to take a quick break. You're listening to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio, Talk of the Town on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We will be right back.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Los, and of course, Kristina Liu and Dan Cox. And it is Talk of the Town, but it is also part one in light of Kristina's birthday. And we're just kind of learning some things about her and having some fun, which is what she loves to do. Because, I mean, you just know how to have fun and you make it right for everybody. And if you've ever had the, I want to say almost honor of being a recipient of a birthday gift or invited to a very special party, it's always a blast and every detail is always fun. It's just fun. So keep it up. Don't ever stop.
I don't think I can,
I don't think you can either.
But, Otto and I were talking during the break about photo albums, and that, you get a great point. It's a great activity. If you are, especially home alone, this is something I've said many, many times that I spent with my grandfather doing, and to even do it by yourself, because, to go through those photos and to, first of all, it's fun to go, down memory lane. I mean, who doesn't like to do that? But to document, that was such a good point, Otto, that you had during the break, is to really write who is in the pictures. Because I think we've all certainly been there where you find an old picture, and when you don't have the person to ask anymore who knows who's in the picture, you lose that piece of history. So it's really something that I think if you are just sitting around, to go through, and it's fun to do. I mean, when I was organizing, and as I mentioned in the previous segment, I was going through all these photo albums. And a lot of them I've seen, in recent times when I'm always like doing some kind, but there was a lot of pictures that I didn't. And they were just so great. It was just to see my mom, growing up, because everything, is of course based on, like 1985. Pre that is like, it's like pre Kristina, and then after Kristina.
And who cares about that?
Right. That's how I was organizing things. But, I was really going through it. It was just so fun to like, see, my mom's like young and her, it's just all these different.
You are an exception, all right. One of the things that I think happens in a lot of lives, like I've done a lot of work over the last 20 years on family tree and documenting old memorabilia and whatever. And why did I do that? Because I was too stupid to ask those questions back when. Yeah. So I'm trying to answer questions now
so awesome.
that the future people might want to have asked, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Because they were busy in their work world, their family world. And when all of a sudden you get to the rewirement stage and you got some time on your hands, is when you start reflecting on these things and you start saying, geez, I wish I would have asked my mother these 100 questions that I didn't ask her.
Yeah. No, it's so
try to project a little bit and answer some of these questions to the best of your knowledge.
Yeah.
that people might ask 40 years from now when you're not
But
here. They
Otto,
might
that's
be-
why you are the exception. And if every family could have an Otto in their family to, pass on such a treasure. I mean, what you've done with your family, whether it's videos or photos or just information in general, is such an amazing, amazing gift.
Well, I'm a little obsessed with it for reasons. I never met my mother's father and mother. Never knew very, very little about them, even though they were alive, but they were in Germany. And my mother really didn't talk about them a lot.
Yeah.
And my father's father, as you know, I recently discovered who he was after 80 some odd years, and it was great. But his mother, I met once. She came over here from Germany for my first wedding, and that was it. So I didn't really have a relationship
Right.
with my grandparents. And like you described with your grandfather,
Yeah.
that's a blessing. All right.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that, and I didn't have it. So I try to make up for that with my own grandchildren, maybe over the top sometimes. But
No, but that's something that they'll always look, speaking from the grandchild's, perspective, it's so important, and I was fortunate to have those relationships with all my grandparents, and my mom's mom, my grandma Connie, well, we laugh, because when I was, now we laugh, because when she was sick and it was like the summer I was like 13, and I just said, no, I'm just spending the entire summer with my grandma. Like, this is what I want to do. We're going to do little crafts. And it was funny because she would say to my mom, she'd be like, they were like, my mom's like, like, Mom, we got to get you some help and stuff. And she's like, well, I have like Kristina. My mom's like, Christina's 13. Like, what are we doing? But it was like, and I'm so glad that I did that, because during that time we just spent time together. We went through things, she was like, she loved little, like, doing crafts and flower pressing. And these were all things that I'm so incredibly grateful for, like, that I didn't, just like blow that up. Because it is easy, right? We're all busy. When you're a kid, you have like so much stuff going on, and I don't blame anyone for it.
A large percentage of 13-year-olds would not do that.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's, listen, this is why I work with seniors.
13-year-old.
Yeah, but I came out just loving seniors. it was really why I'm with Project Independence,
It was on your checklist when you were going, right?
It was just, when I was getting my master's, I remember I had said, they're like, oh, what, do you know what you're interested in? I said, I want to work with seniors. And they like looked at me like, because at that point, even like there was no specific classes in my, in my schooling on like, working with seniors. It was a lot of like addiction, a lot of children, adolescents, that's what a lot of my peers wanted to do. And they like looked at me and I was like, that's what I want to do. So it just, timing worked out well because Project Independence was just kind of becoming a thing. So it was just the perfect kind of segue, and flash to
some of that could be because of your relationship that you had with your grandparents.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just
you weren't afraid of older people. Like I remember looking back when you're 14, 15 years old, somebody probably 60 years old, you thought they were 90.
Yeah.
Your perspective of what age really
so crazy. I know.
is so screwed up. It's not even funny.
I know.
You mean 60 wasn't the new 40 back then? Because that's what I'm going for.
That's true. It's true though. When you look back at all these,
60 is the new 40.
That's right. Certainly.
80 is the new 60.
There you go.
Right.
Absolutely.
100 is the new 70.
I'm into it. I think listen, and listen, it's all mindset, right? Like I'm a
Definitely.
And that, and that was one of the things on Greg's thing as well, is having this positive mindset, and we talk about this all the time, on this show. It is something that clearly all of us are passionate about. And I think it is so huge in just, you don't realize what the effects are. I think we've had so many wonderful guests on this show that really like dove into it from different aspects. And, it just always stuck me that like, even when you kind of trick your brain into thinking, and it's like, just smile, like just the mere act of smiling, even if you're not happy, does something in your brain, which I just think is so cool. It's that fake it till you make it. And that's just the plan I'm living on at this point.
What's that song? If you're happy and it, clap your hands.
Yeah, for real. Exactly.
When I teach a yoga class, I always say, when you take that first deep breath and think of something positive, so you're bringing positive energy. And if you can't, just put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
And just bring in that positivity, Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you,
just,
do
it's
you remember the
incredible.
song, Don't Worry, Be Happy?
One of my
Don't
favorites.
worry.
Yeah, I
There you
always
go.
played
I
that
should have
thing.
had him wish you a happy birthday
Yeah, that kind of
next week.
stuff is good to
It
have
is.
around you, to be honest
It
about
really
it.
is. And it's like it's something that listen, I could say it's not easy all the time. There's times that you can't like sit there, life gets hard. I get it. But I do believe that if you train yourself, and even if it's just something little, I mean, look at all these things with gratitude and just like getting into some kind of, I was, because I'm constantly reading about stuff, and it was saying that, if you tell your brain, don't think about this topic, your brain is wired to keep thinking about the topic because you said don't think about it. So what you actually need to do is like shift your thinking to just something happy that makes you
Right.
happy. So, not even mention like the negative, like just be like, oh, I'm just envisioning a beach, whatever it might be for you.
Well, you
And
have to be busy.
yeah.
Like I play golf, right?
Mhm.
And there's times like my shoulder hurts or whatever. And as soon as I start playing golf, I don't think
Yeah.
about my shoulder anymore. I
Right.
don't feel it.
Right.
It,
One of the things we do when we're like you're doing meditation is you can't think about too many things at once.
Right.
So sometimes if you like do some your mudra, you touch your pinky and your thumb and then your ring finger and middle finger, and you just keep doing that, your brain has to kind of think about that. So from there is when you can start thinking about continuing that and maybe the beach. You're not going to be able to do all these things, whatever it is. There's all kinds of little things that you can do that you have to kind of think about to do it, make sure it's working right, and also think about something joyful. You can't have 18 things in your brain.
and that's difficult, right? Like, listen, I mean, I'm a person who always has, my brain is permanently flooded with so much information all the time. But I
I
do
said
try.
that to somebody.
It's just there's so much going on. I said, like, it's just, I always picture like filing cabinets in my brain. But,
Of course you do.
but like you need to really do these things, and it's stuff that I'm working on. And I think that there's great little tips and tricks that you can adapt into your life, whatever it might be that works for you. And I think that why not give it a shot, right? It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So if there are these like little things that you can do that might like help you, go for it. And I think it's all about like finding your joy. And listen, this is also not because it's just my birthday, but the season of spring I just love, because I think spring is just kind of a rebirth, a renewal. You have beautiful things blooming, and it's just like it just feels refreshed. So I'm waiting for all these, I'm constantly looking, like I start seeing budding on like
I did, yeah. It's so
Yeah, they
exciting.
are.
and it's
Speaking
just
about the spring, today is the second spring fling. So
Yes.
last week we were doing it from the Yes We Can Community Center, and today we've got spring fling here. So I don't know if you hear the pounding of the music, but
do
that's
not.
kind of wild. I don't know what's going on in there.
I like it. But also I want to remind people I've been working very hard on our Pioneer newsletter. So in the next coming weeks, you should be getting it in the mail. And if you're not, please call 311 or 516-869-6311 to make sure you are, because it's a really, here's a little sneak peek of it. But we have great topics, including integrative medicine. We have a little blurb about May is Older Americans Month. And I love the theme is called Aging Unbound, which I think is our kind of overall. I just think it's such a great, I'm really going to take that term because I love it. But it's really just about thinking of a new way of aging. We were just making jokes saying, 60 is the new 40. I mean, but that's really what it is. And it's not, we're in a time where you're able to, have a new outlook on and kind of create what aging is for you. It's not just some kind of cookie cutter situation. We also have an article on 5 steps to safer healthcare and how to kind of advocate for yourself. We have our fabulous Otto hassle factors article in there. And then we have a lot of information just on like PI stuff. So whether it's our transportation program, our exercise program, our social work and nurses, our home maintenance program, of course, the radio show. There's just really great.
On the Fun Day Monday schedule, right?
The Fun Day Monday schedule is in there. And then we have healthy food shopping tips, which is my personal favorite. It's a good tip to use when you're shopping. And then we have an emotional wellness checklist, and it's about sleep. So you can kind of go through that checklist. There's a lot of upcoming events to stay tuned for and stuff. So it's a really great little resource. I love the emotional wellness checklist. That's something I'm really been trying to incorporate into all the pioneers, is kind of just having like a mental health moment, just to let people, because I think it's just as important as talking about the medical stuff to talk about the mental health stuff. So
Yeah.
That's great. Coming up next week, we have Karen Blackbird, who's from AAA. She's going to talk about CarFit, helping mature drivers find their safest fit. There's a bunch of programs that are going to be coming out for that. And I love CarFit. That's another thing that I really, when I was car fitted to my car, I really stick with a lot of the things that I learned there. So I'm excited she will be on. Also,
I remember when I was car fit, and like a couple of weeks later, I was in a pretty significant accident, and I had everything set right. I was in the middle of I was like a bumper car. It went to the front, went to the back, and that I was getting on the LIE, and ambulance came to take the guy away in the back who, got us. But it's really important.
It's so important.
You can
and they're just little modifications.
Right.
You don't realize, and it always takes me back to when my grandpa was driving and he couldn't turn his neck, and I was like, these are things that you have to, it's not a one size fits all. It's not something that worked for you, when you were 20 is necessarily going to work for you when you're 60 or whatever.
Right. And you just got a longer rear view mirror. Yeah. So you don't have to turn as much.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Little things.
There's so many little modifications. I mean, Beck, do you remember the senior who sat on a stack of, I think it was
yes, Jackie.
It was something crazy.
Yeah. And we were she sat on phone books because she was.
It was so dangerous because
very dangerous.
One that could slip. And they make modifications to do that. So it's just these little things. And, how important, which always sticks with me too, because listen, I'm a short woman, so I tend to sit close to the steering wheel, but you have to be really careful, because if you are not, I think it's the length of a ruler, but don't quote me, we'll find out next week, if you are from the steering wheel, because of the airbag.
Right.
You can't be too close. It's so dangerous.
And you don't want the steering wheel angled diagonally. Right. Exactly. You have to really know the safest way.
And what what really is my favorite tip that I learned from that is that the mirror, you should not be able to see your car in your mirrors.
Or your side view mirror.
And your side view mirrors, because if you're in your car, you'd rather maximize the space around. And that really, and I preach that to everyone, because my mom
just a slight.
Yeah. That was a major one for me. Driving for 60 years or whatever, maybe more. And I never set the mirrors the right way based on that.
And it makes such a difference.
A big difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
So Karen will be on next week to talk about all that. And then
if we keep talking about it, we won't have anything to say.
We're taking over her job. Then we have also coming up an author who wrote a book called Home Detox, Make Your Home a Healthier Place for Everyone Who Lives There. We have on a representative from the Administration for Community Living, who is going to talk about Older American Month, Aging Unbound. We have on a dentist who's going to talk about oral health for seniors, which was Otto's request. So your wish is my command, Otto.
I'm still going through it.
Well, you can, on May 5th, you'll be able to talk the nitty gritty. May 19th, we're going to have on a representative from the Mental Health Association of Nassau County is going to be talking about May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And then on May 26th, we have someone from Northwell who's going to be doing skin health for seniors. So we have quite a range of topics, guys. I'm really excited. I think we're gonna have a lot of golden nuggets coming up in all these. And once again, if you have ever missed any of our shows and want to, check it out, you can go to the WCWP YouTube page, or you can go to the Project Independence website and you'll see a little link for the radio show, and everything is listed there, because there's such great information. I mean, it is just, I forget sometimes, because we do this every week. And then when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, we've had such a range of guests. And I can't tell you the amount of times I get a call or a staff person asks me for, the contact information for someone we've had on the show. So it's great. It's a great privilege to be able to do this. So, oh, wow. Look at that timing.
Well, perfect timing. Well, Kristina, of course, we wish you a happy birthday. It's still March, right? So we're not even in April. Right. So we haven't even really started to celebrate for the month. That's why it was a little light.
I love it.
We started on the 4th of April for next year.
There we go. Well, thank you so much for, another reason to celebrate Kristina's birthday. You've been listening to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio. We will be back next week with Karen Blackburn and learning all about carpet.